Hi, this is Dave, Fell Running Guide. Welcome to another navigation task. It's a slightly different one this week. This is a real life example. So this is from an activity when I was out with a client a couple of weeks ago, and the task was to get from A to B. Let's find that little pond over at B. We actually ended up going from A to C. And we certainly didn't immediately find the pond. So I think it's really useful to look at navigation errors that you make and learn from them, learn how you went wrong, what you did wrong, what you should have done. And that's a really good learning tool. You probably learn more from doing that than you do by getting it right all the time. And that's where mapping software comes in. So if you can look at your route on a map, either at the time or in hindsight when you get back home and upload your route onto the software, you can really see where you've been and where you should have gone, and I think it really helps. So I use Anket mapping software for that. I'll leave a link in the YouTube video description for you. So the plan was that we would use this drainage ditch. You see the blue line that goes along the contour, so that's a man-made ditch. There was a good path along it, so we'd follow that along, and it should be very straightforward, easy running, and we'd have a good couple of collecting features or tick-off features on the way. First one being this change of direction from northeast to northwest, and then they're heading roughly west. We'd notice this stream crossing here, and then another change of direction, and then finally this significant kink in the direction of the channel where Churl Clough comes down. And then the plan was to follow what I put on here is the purple arrow, so follow this stream heading southwest to the end of it, and then for the final section we'd use that as the attack point, the end of the stream, and we would take a compass bearing, in this case I think it was about 230 degrees, and pace out 120 metres, and that should lead us straight to the pond. So pretty straightforward in terms of the plan. Now the conditions, it was good visibility, see for a long way, so that wasn't a problem. We didn't have an altimeter, so we couldn't look at it and say, all right, well, we're just below 390 metres, so that doesn't come into play. The vegetation around this Churl Clough and across Middle Moss was pretty horrible, knee-deep heather, at sometimes deeper than that, so the going was pretty hard going. So how did we not follow our plan? How did we end up at C instead of being at B? So let's have a think about that and see what we did wrong. So firstly, what did we do right? Well, we managed to follow the conduit along, no problem at all, really straightforward going, ticked off that feature and we got to there, that was fine. Some people in the comments or answers suggested we might have taken the bearing wrong or got the pacing wrong because we were going uphill on vegetated ground. Well, we accounted for the terrain, so we knew the paces for 100 metres through deep heather and also the fact it was slightly uphill, so we didn't get the actual pacing wrong, and we'd taken the compass bearing accurately. So what did go wrong? Now, I've zoomed in a little bit on the map here so we can see in a bit more detail. So we knew that when we got to here we had to take the right hand stream, i.e. that one, rather than Churl Clough itself. Now what we didn't account for is the heavy vegetation, so really deep heather around here, and these streams were hidden away down in the heather. Now also, if we look closely here, we'll see that the stream junction isn't right on the conduit drainage line itself. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 30 metres southwest along the stream. Now we've got the hindsight of being able to look at that zoomed in on a map, but if you just got the real time scale 1 to 25,000 and your eyesight's not brilliant, you might miss that little subtle feature, which is in fact what we did. We mistakenly thought that this junction here was right on that drainage line, and it wasn't. So that was the first mistake that we made, by not looking closely enough at the map. And then the second thing that we did, if you see this little kink in the contour here, this little reentrant, well, that was actually more visible than this stream here, and it had water draining out of it. So we saw that and thought that this draining up this reentrant here was actually this stream. So we followed parallel. We were going in the right direction. We checked the direction and it was going in the right direction, but it wasn't this stream. It was just water on the ground running in a reentrant there. So that was the second mistake that we made. And then the third mistake we made, we thought, oh, we've seen the stream, we'll just follow it until it ends. Now, streams, unless they're coming out of springs in the ground, don't just suddenly end or suddenly appear. If you're following upstream, they come vaguer and vaguer and vaguer and less distinct, and then they finally peter out. But it's very difficult to know where that petering out is in relation to where it's shown on the map. So what we didn't do is we didn't pace and measure distance up the stream. So what if we'd measured this distance to the end of the stream there, 270 meters, we could have paced out that distance and known that we got to a point there, and then paced out another 120 meters up towards the pond. But what we did is we just followed the stream till it finished, and it actually finished somewhere maybe around where the 370 meter contour line is. So we should have known then, well, we haven't gone 270 meters, so we're not in this stream. And then we followed our compass bearing and our distance of 120 meters from roughly there, which put us up into where C is. So we were way too short and we were actually off line. We were parallel to that stream, but we weren't in line with the pond. So at that point we knew that we hadn't passed the pond, although you do see little bits of water on the ground. You'd try to convince yourself that might be it, but we knew we were looking for something reasonably substantial, so we did press on a little bit further up the hill, but still didn't see it. So then we thought, right, well, we need to relocate here. How can we relocate? And because using that initial stream hadn't been successful, we decided on a different approach. So we headed across more southeasterly to find this stream here, and the plan then was to find this, find a point where we definitely knew where we were, because we find this kink here and where the stream junction was, so one running more or less east-west into the other stream running much more north-south, and then from the bend here we would contour back in, pacing out again, having accurately measured on the map from there to there, and see if we'd got it, if we could get it second time round. And that was successful. So you can see how our trace here, so you see how we went up this reentrant rather than the little stream that we wanted, and we actually got to about there when the stream petered out, and you can see we're actually on the right bearing there. And we got to up to this point here, realised no stream, back over, found the bend in the stream, and then went back in on a bearing along there. So a lot to be learnt from getting it wrong, as long as you can work out why you've got it wrong, what mistakes you made, and learn from it so you don't do it again next time. So I hope that was a useful exercise. I hope you learnt something from it. Anyway, thanks for watching and look out for next week's navigation task. Bye for now.